Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Skip still contends we will see Tony Romo start the first playoff game for the Cowboys. Shannon doubles down and says McGregor still needs Mayweather for his big payday. Former NBA All-Star Kenyon breaks down why the Warriors will beat the Cavs on Christmas Day and explains his recent thoughts on his former coach, George Karl. Former NFL GM Michael Lombardi stops by to tell us why he was right about the New York Giants, and last night they showed exactly who they were. Plus, FS1 NFL analyst Chris Carter professes what he believes we will see in the next 2 weeks in Dallas.
Two of us are in the Christmas spirit. One of us is Ebenezer Scrooge. I will let you figure that out at home for yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm lost on that one.
No, you're not lost.
Skip's been in the Christmas spirit all week.
If you have to wonder which of us are Ebenezer Scrooge, it's probably you.
I don't know. I saw your Twitter last night. You seemed pretty upset
Joy,
about the outcome of the game.
It's Christmas. It's Christmas. Can one time you say, you know what, for today, Skip, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to ride with you.
Let me get this out of the way, being the Scrooge that I am, because I just have one little question for you. How about them Cowboys? How about clinching home field advantage all the way to the Super Bowl with 2 weeks left in the season?
Skip.
How about that, Cowboy Nation? Merry Christmas to all of you. And a happy good night.
Skip, we're about to discuss the Giants and the Eagles, and it's happy.
You're calling me Scrooge? I got Christmas spirit spilling out of my mouth.
You got nothing spilling out of your mouth.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
No, I don't want it. Yeah. I don't want it.
Last night, the Giants lost. The Cowboys clinched the NFC East and home field throughout the playoffs. The Cowboys host the Lions on Monday night. Shannon, you were upset on Twitter last night. Skip,
Yep.
you're excited. How will this play out with the Cowboys?
I don't follow Shannon on Twitter, so I don't know what you're talking about. So.
Well, then why you talking about it? I can't wait to see Shannon Sharpe.
Oh, you follow me.
9:30.
You must follow me.
9:30 in the morning. Can't wait to somebody tell it.
Boy, you're seeing me now, up close and personal, aren't you?
You tell me what you want to say.
Okay. I said yesterday I did not love my Cowboys clinching this early because of number 1, Romo, and number 2, Rust. Obviously, this gives Jerry Jones the opportunity to play Romo for the next 2, quote-unquote, meaningless preseason-like games to get him ready for a potential playoff start in the first playoff game. And I don't love the fact that a hot, young team now has to wait 3 weeks until it plays the next game that counts. And this one is really, really going to count, the first of 2 potential home playoff games to get to the Super Bowl. But I will admit that by late last night, I'd come to my senses and I thought, you know what? Let's just take the bird in the hand, or in this case, the eagle in the hand. And I appreciate it, Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you for coming through for me. Pennsylvania, till death do us part. They did it for my Cowboys.
Your day coming, buddy. Your day is coming.
Way to go. So we have clinched, so now you just have to live with it. But, and by the way, on the number 1 seed, is there a bigger advantage in all of sports than the 1 seed in the National Football League playoffs? You know how it goes. The last 3 years, both 1 seeds from both conferences have made it to the Super Bowl. And if you look at over the since the current playoff format began in 2002.
No, they didn't. The Broncos were the number 1 seed, and they got beat. The Patriots won. Indianapolis, and the Colts upset them.
Okay, well, I don't know. I just looked this up this morning. I think the 3-3.
No.
The last 3 years.
No, Broncos have been the number 1 seed ever since Peyton's been there.
Well, okay.
You want to bet some dew on it?
Well, I'll have to check with my man Tyler Korn because...
I don't need a man.
Yeah.
I'm the man.
All right. Well,
now, Joy, kiki on that, Joy.
I'm pretty sure we have the internet. We have producers looking it up right now.
We'll check.
Seem very confident.
Maybe we're wrong about that, but I don't think I'm wrong about this one.
I don't care.
Since this current playoff format began in 2002, only 3 times in those 14 years has a Super Bowl been played without at least 1 of the 1 seeds. So that's a powerful advantage, unless, of course...
New England's going to be the 1 seed that's going to make it.
Okay, well, I hope so, because I got them, too. I got Cowboys, New England. I picked that in August. Thank you very much. And I can't remember who you picked, because that's changed so many times. I'm blurry on it. I can't. It's cloudy.
I picked Seattle, and I picked the Steelers.
Oh, you did?
But in order to have you not have a word to say come Super Bowl Sunday and have to deal with these annoying Cowboy fans, look here, I will drive the parade bus in New England if they were to beat the Cowboys and the Cowboys don't make it.
We picked New England to win the Super Bowl.
I don't care, as long as the Cowboys, I think the Patriots fans are annoying also. But we've come to the realization, after all of a sudden they've been fairly good this year, that the Cowboys fans are more insufferable, are more intolerable to me. And so all things being equal, give me the team up in Boston.
Did you just describe the Cowboys as fairly good this year?
What part about fairly and good didn't you get?
Did you just clinch up throughout the playoffs?
I thought you had Kansas City and the Giants in the Super Bowl. That's I don't know. I get confused from week to week.
As long as the team that plays in Dallas and has a star on their helmet.
Okay, so this is degenerated into Dallas versus the field. You got the field, I got Dallas, right? So you got whoever emerges, you got them.
No, I got Seattle
Super Bowl pick
in the NFC.
Shannon, I'm sorry to interrupt both of you guys, but Skip was right about that.
No.
Shannon, you just got shut down again on Undisputed. You look foolish again.
Skip was not right.
Shannon, you're wrong again.
The last 3 years.
You're wrong again.
In the last 3 years.
Nope.
Yep. You're wrong,
Patriots
Shannon.
were the 1 seed.
Yep.
No. Patriots were not the 1 seed. The Broncos were the 1 seed.
Way to go, Tyler Warren.
Boom. I disagree. And I'm going to have Steve jump on that. Steve Owens, the one without the Heisman.
Shannon is going to correct history here and turn it into a 1 seed for whoever it was that you said was
the Broncos.
Okay. So the point is that you love the 1 seed unless the 1 seed happens to be owned and operated by one Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., otherwise known as Jerry Jones, because I am convinced that Jerry will now order Tony Romo to play the second half of Monday night's Detroit game at Jerry World. Way to go, ESPN. You're going to get Dak for a half and Romo for a half. And then I won't be surprised if Jerry orders Romo to play the full game in Philadelphia in the closing game of the regular season, but maybe it'll be a half and a half like it's a preseason game. But the point is, I believe Jerry will view this in his mind, which is the only mind that matters in Cowboy Nation, as a competition now between Romo and Dak to see how quickly Romo can get his edge back, get his flow back, and I still believe in my heart of hearts that Jerry Jones will decree that Romo will start that first playoff game. And if he does, I'm out with my prediction. I'm just telling you because I didn't see that one coming.
I don't think, Skip, I don't think Romo will play this week, any part of the game, but I do believe he will start the second half of the final game in Philly.
Okay, well, that would be okay because that wouldn't be enough to prove that you're ready to start.
Right.
Okay, that would just be classic backup quarterback.
Yes,
right?
That's what I believe
well,
that will
I
happen.
hope for once you were right about this one because that would be okay. So I'm just going to throw this out really quickly. I believe that Dallas will lose to Detroit this Monday night. That's what I believe. Wow. And that Detroit will go ahead and win its division and that Detroit will win a home playoff game to start off with, which would put Detroit back in Dallas again at Jerry World for the first round playoff game. They will lose that game to the Cowboys, and I believe the Seahawks then will beat the Falcons in the divisional game to get back to Jerry World and lose to the Dallas Cowboys. Nope, I'm not hoping.
Because you don't want to see Aaron Rodgers. That's what you're hoping. You do not want to see Aaron Rodgers because you know what he's going to do to your ball club. And now you don't want to face him. And I told you that blown call in Seattle would cost Atlanta a shot at home field advantage.
And now I think they might have to go back to Seattle.
Yes, you're exactly right.
It would be an interesting game, but I would pick Seattle to win that game.
But that game should be played in Atlanta.
No mercy. More Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather news. Yesterday, Dana White was asked yet again about a possible Floyd-Conor fight. Let's take a listen.
Well, there's a lot of talk going on between Floyd and Conor right now. A lot of things being said. If they really fought, it would be ugly. It would be ugly for Floyd, you know?
You think so?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He'd go down big time?
Absolutely.
Conor's nuts. I
mean, Conor has more weapons and tools than Floyd Mayweather does. But even if they were going to box, look at it this way. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather is a fight that everybody wanted to see for years. It took almost 10 years to make that fight, and they're in the same sport.
Right.
There's no way this fight would ever happen. I saw recently, was that you that got Floyd when he said he's going to slap Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Let me tell you what. You interviewed Floyd, right?
I have.
You had to aim the camera down here, right? Floyd's about this tall, okay? His hands are like peanut brittle. He has to wrap them a million times so he doesn't break his hands. Floyd better hope he don't run into Conor on the street. Let me tell you what, Conor, not only will Conor kick his ass, he'll kick the shit out of every one of his security guards too. So, 100%. 100%.
But
I would love to be there when Floyd tries to slap Conor McGregor.
Well, that's what he said. He said on his...
Yeah. I promise you, Floyd, you will never try to walk up and slap Conor McGregor, and you know it too.
Wow.
Love it. Love it.
Skip, what do you make of Dana's comment?
Love it. You down there, Floyd? Where are you, Floyd?
Dana White need to stop being disrespectful too, Skip.
He was pretty peanut brittle hand. That is the truth. You know that is. He's got to wrap them 10,000 times to even box. So what's going on here, Joy, is that Dana White is telling the flat-out truth that I have been trying to tell you for the last couple of months on this show. He is saying that 28-year-old Conor McGregor would beat and beat up Floyd Mayweather Jr. in a boxing match, strictly boxing. That's number one. And he's also saying that if Floyd Mayweather Jr. ever dared to pass Conor McGregor on the street and stop and try to slap the you-know-what out of him.
Slap the taste out of his mouth.
He would get the you-know-what beat out of him. And this is what I loved. Every bodyguard, he went to murdered, I hate that term, but they would get the you-know-what beat out of them. Unless, of course, they pulled on him, they drew on him, and that could be possible.
What about if Nate Diaz is one of his bodyguards?
We're not talking about Nate
okay,
Diaz.
I'm just checking,
We're talking about Conor McGregor Jr. And here's the point. This is the baddest man on the planet. I keep telling you, he is crazy bad. You're going to have to kill him to beat him bad. This isn't Manny Pacquiao, who had gone through and experienced a genuine spiritual conversion, saying, gee, I don't know if I want to hurt the man that I'm boxing. I want to beat him, but I don't want to hurt him. This is Lord have mercy, Conor McGregor. This would be nothing but trouble for Floyd Mayweather Jr. This is Dana White basically saying, no way this fight is going to happen because Floyd would never be stupid enough to risk stepping into a boxing ring with Conor McGregor. End of story. I hope he's wrong. I hope the money would be so staggeringly huge. It would be twice the, what did he make? 300 million?
Made 225.
225. We'll double it, and that's what would happen if Conor McGregor, or let me say it this way, if Floyd dared to box Conor McGregor, it would be a global spectacle that it might be 3 times 225 million this time, and it won't happen because Floyd is not going to not only risk his undefeated legacy, he's not going to risk his face against this guy because this guy is the baddest man on the planet.
First of all, you keep saying, oh, he's the baddest man on the planet. He's 155 pounds. He has 3 losses on his resume. Nate Diaz made Conor McGregor say uncle. Remember when you was little and your brother had you in the headlock? He'd say uncle, and I let you go?
I always put my brother in the headlock.
Okay. Hey, you made him say uncle.
Aha. The truth comes out.
He made Conor McGregor say uncle to let him go. So that, first and foremost, he wouldn't have to kill him.
Tell me when I get to talk.
No, you just got an opportunity to talk. It's my turn.
Talk.
Now, Dana White was talking about if they were to fight. He said Conor McGregor has more tools in his tool bag, meaning he can elbow him, he can submit him, he could punch him, he could kick him.
Boxing rules. Boxing rules.
Skip. Now, I didn't interrupt you. I let you talk. Can you just let me talk one time uninterrupted?
You just have to get it right, and then we'll be okay.
I'm getting it right. Dana White was talking about UFC. That's why he said Conor has more tools in his toolbox than Floyd Mayweather, because all Floyd needs to be able to do is throw a punch and dodge a punch. That's it. That's all he's ever done. Conor McGregor punches, he knees, he kicks, he elbows, he can submit. That's what Dana White is talking about. And you know what? Hold on. This is why everybody wants the big payday, because they can't get it without Floyd. Everybody wants to just touch him because money comes trickling down. Nate Diaz says, I'm not fighting again until I get 20 million. That's unheard of. Floyd won't even pick up the phone for less than 50. And now these guys are groveling after crumbs for 20 million. Conor McGregor, and see, this is what Conor McGregor is trying to do. See, he can't get that mega payday without Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather can fight Manny Pacquiao, and he might not do 4.4 million buys, but I bet you he'll do 2. Tell Dana White, Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey. Conor McGregor could fight Ronda Rousey, and they wouldn't get 4 million buys. So you know what?
I don't know. On that one, maybe that might get it.
They need Floyd. Floyd don't need them.
I
and last I checked, he's still in the Bahamas. Been over there for about 2 months, Joy. 2 months kicking back.
He must be bored to tears.
How you get
Sitting
bored?
on the beach doing nothing?
The man over there counting them zeros, he say, okay, when I get to 1 billion zeros, let me know when I need to stop.
So just for the record, just to clarify everything you just said, Nate Diaz was a last-second fill-in who was 15 pounds heavier than Conor McGregor and had, 5 inches of reach on him?
Nate Diaz fought at 155 basically his whole career.
Dana White said, Conor, don't do this. This is just wait, because his opponent that you're supposed to fight couldn't fight. Just wait. Just bide your time. Nope, I want the big guy. Just bring the big guy in. I can beat anybody. And he lost that fight. Then he turned right around and told Dana White, I want him again within 2 months. Dana said, you can't do this. He's just too big for you. Don't do it. Don't subject yourself to this kind of punishment this quickly. Nope, I want the big guy, and I'm going to kick his behind, and he kicked it. He dropped him twice early in that fight. It was one of the great athletic contests I have ever witnessed. I was in the second row in the splatter zone. I got splattered. Ernestine got splattered. It was a beautiful thing to watch, and it was pure guts that I've never seen from Floyd, because he's never had to engage in a fight like that.
Why do you continuously
just answer your own question?
Why do you continuously make excuses for why Nate Diaz choked him out? Okay, Tom Savage was a last-minute fill-in for Brock Osweiler. Did they make excuses?
I don't want to talk about the Texans.
No, I'm just saying.
I just don't want to talk about it.
I
want to talk about this.
I don't want you making excuses.
There's no excuse. He's a much bigger man.
He fought basically his entire career at 155.
And Conor learned his lesson. Don't let him take you to the ground. And Conor said, I'm standing up because I can box. He is a boxer. They call it striking, but it's pure boxing. He's left-handed with a right that's dynamite.
Boom,
boom.
The majority of his career at 155. He made Conor McGregor call him uncle. Everybody wants the big payday that Floyd made. Floyd, when was the last time Floyd Mayweather had a fight for $20 million, Skip Bayless? They are hoping to get that.
It's not my turn.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, just nod your head.
Yeah.
Has Floyd Mayweather...
Very confusing, which are like the non-answering thing.
Nod your head. In the last 5 years, has Floyd Mayweather had one fight for less than $20 million? Nod your head, Skip Bayless. Don't shrug your shoulders. When was the last time Conor McGregor had a $20 million fight, Skip Bayless? When was the last time the UFC had a fight that had generated 4.4 billion buys? 4.4 million buys. Even though you were ringside, I got splattered. Ernestine had a nice dress on, she got splattered.
With Nate Diaz's blood.
And the fight before, Conor McGregor got splattered.
Yep.
I can't breathe.
No, he didn't get splattered. He got sat on. That's what he got. He got sat on by a 170-pound guy.
If I was Nate Diaz, when I had him choking him out, I said, if y'all don't get President Obama on the phone and tell me personally to let him go, I'm going to hold him here in teeth.
I got one question for you to end this discussion. If by chance Floyd walked down a dark alley, he walked down a dark alley and somehow he walked right into Conor McGregor, what would happen at that moment? I'll tell you exactly what would happen. I'm not sure Floyd would walk back out of that alley.
Floyd go slap his face, pow! And say, Nate Diaz, handle that for me.
Is it just Floyd or is it Floyd with the bodyguards?
Floyd.
Yeah, he'd need all his bodyguards.
And I love how Dana White told me, you had to shoot Floyd down there. He's talking like Conor McGregor 6'7". He does realize
he is a little stouter than Floyd.
I am not for the short people slander. That I don't agree.
Yeah, all 4'11" and 3/4.
Ooh, another shot.
No mercy. Last night, the Cowboys clinched home field advantage throughout the playoffs thanks to the Giants' loss. Earlier in the day, Ed Werder of ESPN reported the Cowboys players wanted to play well for Dak last week against the Bucs to, quote, end the BS surrounding Dak. We're joined by Chris Carter. Welcome, Chris.
Good morning.
Merry Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the Cowboys have clinched, what will they do with Tony Romo?
We got to get past all the superlatives. Yes, I'm here. Happy New
Yes.
Year's, everything. Let me be the first to wish you Happy Easter. Let's get it.
What are they going to do with Tony Romo now that they've clinched?
Oh, last night, that was the worst thing could ever happen. The Cowboys fans, and especially my friend Skip Bayless. I couldn't wait to get here this morning. I tried to get him to bump this segment up to earlier in the program.
But he couldn't stop talking.
But so this is the first time that and this is the reason why. Most franchises, you look at New England and their dominance in the AFC East, they're celebrating. But celebrating in a way that they're going to get their players some rest. They're going to get the right amount of practice. Tom Brady, the understanding of what they're going to do moving forward. They have an actual roadmap to get to Houston.
They got a plan.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Dallas, we're going to shoot this thing from the hip, Joy. Because it just ain't good enough for us to have the best ball club out there. I'm going to add just a little more drama. And Tony Romo, I've been watching him in practice, and he's ready. And Dak Prescott, you know when you see it. Didn't he say that last week? You know a good car crash when you see it. So what I believe is going to happen, Tony Romo is going to be forced to play the next 2 games. And they're going to say it is based on trying to give Dak rest. But as you said, the Dallas players, they're rallying around Dak and that locker room. And I'm going to tell you, one of the ringleaders, one of the helpers, Dez Bryant. He's really helping, trying to galvanize that locker room.
Yep.
But they got problems. The reason why is because regardless of what the players want, the boss man wants something else. And I'm pretty much guaranteeing you this, you're going to see Tony Romo in the next 2 weeks, which is going to create a lot of pressure for Dak and them after that bye week. And they play that divisional round.
First one is always the hardest.
And let me tell you, the biggest mystery, young people, you don't know the tempo of that game. People say, it goes up 20% from the preseason to the regular season. But when you get in the playoffs, no, it goes up another 30%. And that's the one variable in Dallas. Jerry and the young players who haven't played in the playoffs playing under that grand stage.
So are you predicting they're going to lose the first playoff game at home?
No, I'm not predicting. I'm predicting a bunch of confusion, a bunch of smoke and everything that would get us off topic that the Dallas Cowboys have been consistently the best football team. But that won't be the conversation in the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Skip Bayless, all Ed Werder did was confirm what you and I have been saying for 2 months. That is correct. But everybody kept telling us, those are just hot takes. Shannon and Skip trying to create a circumstances.
Okay.
CC, you in the locker room for 16 years. I was 14. We were both dominating voices in our locker room.
Yep.
We know what caused distractions. A lot of times we put fires out before they ever made it to the coach or they ever made it to the newspaper. I know this was real, because people can see how obvious it was for Jerry that every time that Dak played well, he found somehow to mention Tony Romo's name in the same breath, although he was injured. And then when he was uninjured and he was being a backup, he was still talking about the backup quarterback when people were asking him about the starter. But you see what Jerry think, he saw what happened with the Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning, he was the great the great guy. He went to a different team, and this was going to be his last rodeo. And he saw how it ended. See, for Jerry, Deadpool is not good enough for Jerry. Good movie, right? Man, he was awesome in that movie, wasn't he? But that wasn't good. That's not good enough for Jerry. Jerry want Avatar. See, 780 ain't good enough. He want 2.8 billion. See, Jerry's the type of guy, he goes to the fair, he don't want to ride the merry-go-round because he wants the roller coaster.
Wait, I like Deadpool more than I like Avatar. But I'll take Deadpool.
I know you would, okay. But see, that's not. What did Jerry want? Box office.
Yep.
One made 780. 780 is a good movie is a good chunk of change for a movie. But 2.8 billion, and then you be in talk. See, because this is what Jerry wants. Jerry likes making the tough call to prove everybody wrong. Because, see, you know what he said? They told me I shouldn't buy the Cowboys. Bought the Cowboys, look at them now. Now, they telling me I shouldn't go to my son, Tony Romo Jones, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the tough call, and it's going to turn out well for me, and I'm going to prove y'all wrong.
You got 2 Jerry Jones impersonations today.
You know what I'm saying? So, Skip, like you said, you spent 3,000 hours with
I
Jerry.
did.
You
I
wrote a
did.
book, so you know him.
Yeah, I wrote 3 books that involved him.
I don't believe, CC, I don't know if he'll play this week, but there's no question in my mind.
Absolutely.
That last game,
And that's
that's
no regular mop-up duty.
he might get 3 quarters, but there's no question in my mind. The last game in Philadelphia, Tony Romo bringing it home.
One thing, too, you need to watch when they do put him in, especially if it's in week number 17, that last game, watch how many other starters have to play
That is correct.
to protect him. And that's going to let you know
Yeah.
that this ain't going to be no regular mop-up duty. Let's get us through this so we can get the bye week and get healthy. No, he's going to subject the other team members to injury because they got to protect Tony.
Chris Carter, I said yesterday on the
Let
show,
me
sitting
clear
right
my
here on
throat.
this, sitting right in the seat, that I did it this way. I did not love the prospect of clinching last night too early because of Romo and Rust, because this is a hot young team, and I don't love the fact that they're going to have to just sit for 3 weeks with two like equivalent of preseason games, and they might lose a little flow and a little edge and a little momentum, and all of a sudden, boosh, the brightest lights are going to come on 3 weeks from today in a home playoff game with only one more playoff game at home that you got to win to get to the Super Bowl, and the pressure is going to be through that roof of Jerry world.
Yes.
So I get all that, and that's why I didn't love the scenario. I called it Jerry's dream scenario, was for the Eagles to upset the Giants last night and give him 2 games to get Romo ready to start Romo in the first playoff game. It scares me to death, and it makes me sick enough that I told you I was about to upchuck at the mere prospect right here in the middle of this desk. But last night, it dawned on me late, because I've been covering this game for a long time, back into the 1970s. It is hard to win in this league. You both know how hard it is to win. So I finally said, you know what? Just accept it. They did it. They clinched. Maybe too early, but they clinched. They did it. So embrace it and deal with it. They're just going to have to deal with it. But again, I told him, there's no more powerful advantage in all of sports than what the NFL allows its number 1 seed to have.
Yes.
Because it's just 2 games at home to get to the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? Right? So
Yes.
I said, okay, just embrace it and try to figure it out. But no team is owned and operated by Jerry Jones. And so now I got to deal with the fact I'm pretty sure he's going to order Tony Romo to play this is my view, the second half of next Monday night's game.
The Lions.
And the second half of the Eagles game. He'll let Dak have a half, and then it'll be just like a preseason game. And in Jerry's mind, it will be a competition. He will see if Tony quickly regains his edge, and if Jerry, his eyes tell him, you know it when you see it, and you know it in negative, and you know it on the positive. That was an old reference to a quote about pornography. So he put Dak in the same sentence with pornography, but I'm going to let it go. Okay? I'm going to let him have that, because Jerry says some pretty goofy stuff occasionally at age 74. But in this case, I'm saying it can't be a competition. This kid got you to 12-2. It should be over. Now, I want to protect him from injury, so a half and a half, or maybe 3 quarters against Detroit and a half against Philly.
Yes.
Philly's a dangerous place to play. You saw what was going on with both quarterbacks last night.
Yes.
You were there, man. And it gets crazy. They hate each other, and I fear for the safety of both my quarterback and my running back. Tony Romo once broke his collarbone. Remember, in Philadelphia. But the Hall of Famer sitting across from me, your fellow Hall of Famer, assured me when we opened this show that's not going to happen. You told me it would be just like a preseason game, that Dak would be allowed to play the whole game on Monday night, right?
Yes.
And that Romo would only get the second half at Philadelphia.
Yes.
If you're right about that, I'm good to go. I'm okay.
Or I could go with Dak playing this week, and Romo can play week number 6. He can play the whole game.
Right.
Okay.
I prefer them not to play quarter and a quarter, because you start to get the comparison.
Competition.
Yeah, like you don't. I don't want that.
Okay.
Like now, if Romo's only going to play a half, then I want Dak to play this week. I want him to play half of next week.
Yes.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And let Romo play a half. But I wouldn't split it.
We were in this very situation in 1996, Skip. We had about 3 games to go. And the next thing you know, Mike says, well, okay, TD, you're not going to play this week. John, you're going to play a quarter. Shannon, you're going to play as long as John is in there, you will be in there. And then the last game, John played 5 plays. I played no plays. TD played 3. Now you got to bye. So over the last month, we played 20 plays.
And?
First game, Jacksonville.
Oh, you lost that game.
Gave it to him.
We home.
Okay.
But guess what happened? Guess what happened in '98? We ain't rest nobody. we started out 13-0.
Yeah.
Had it sewn up.
98, we didn't rest anybody either.
But, hey,
Unless there was an injury. And we were watching what they were doing.
Do you remember when you clinched?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were 15-1. We had 3 games to go.
Okay.
we were 13-0. So we had already clinched. We had clinched by almost Thanksgiving. And so when you and plus you getting that bye, because that's a week of rest. So now you're playing 5 plays here. You're playing 10 plays there. You're not playing at all. And now you get a week off. Your mindset change. When you know you're only going to play a handful of plays, Skip,
right.
Don't let anybody tell you different. Your mindset change goes into that game.
And recent history in the NFL. We have seen it. We have seen, especially Peyton Manning.
So
Peyton Manning led teams at number 1, number 2 seed with that bye.
the oldest cliche in football that I've heard and been taught is you only get hurt when you're trying not to get hurt,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So is there something to be said for heck with it, just play. Just go play, even go play at Philadelphia. Just play.
I believe me personally, I think Romo's going to play at least a half. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with Dak not playing at all, but I believe Dak's going to play this entire game. Tony Romo's playing at least a half in Philly. He's playing at least.
And he should.
At the bare minimum. Because, he done told you how good he looking in scout team. He lighting them up.
He's
Going into the playoffs, we're looking pretty good, Shannon, as far as
Yeah,
depth.
scout
Now,
team.
you know who I'd like to see play the second half in Philly? Mark Sanchez. That's what I would like. Well, then we
Over
take
Tony Romo?
we take Rome out of the equation,
Yeah.
right?
You know Tony's
I
going to
would
play.
love to see
Skip,
it.
you know
Then you don't have any questions.
He's willing it into the universe
You
that
need
Tony's not
Tony
going to
Romo
play.
to play a half
Yeah.
so we can get the trade bait up for him and send him back in a couple
Exactly.
months.
No mercy.
On Christmas Day, the Warriors and Cavs meet in Cleveland. It's the first meeting between the two since Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Kenyon Martin joins us now. Kenyon, welcome to Undisputed.
Welcome. We got Dallas in the house here. Yes, sir. Bryan Adams High School, straight out of South Oak Cliff. Way to go.
Kenyon, who wins on Sunday?
My pick right now, regular season, no JR, huge loss, outside shooting, what you have, I'm saying what you need in order to compete with Golden State. So I'm going to go Golden State in this one. I'm going to go Golden State. They're just firepower right now. I think they're clicking. They're playing well.
Big, by 10 maybe?
They've shown that they can win big in Cleveland before.
Yeah.
And they added a small score. You score a couple.
He's pretty good.
A couple 27 points a game, something like that. Small adjustment.
Yeah.
Might help a little
Did
bit.
you hear this,
I heard
Mr.
it.
Shannon across on me? Mr. LeBron?
Who am I picking?
Huh?
Who am I picking?
I thought maybe you slept on it and came to your senses.
LeBron James.
Yeah.
LeBron James. LeBron James. What's KD's record against LeBron James, Skip?
He wasn't with this team when
I
it
just
happened.
asked you a question. You said, I want you to answer.
He's just a small little scorer, as Kenyon said. It's just no big deal.
okay.
He's no LeBron James.
I get what Kenyon said. What is Kevin Durant's record against LeBron James?
You tell me, since you already researched it.
17-4. Do you remember what happened last year when they were down 3-1?
Yeah, Draymond got suspended. That's
Golden
what happened.
State-
Bogey got hurt. It's as simple as that.
Ken, you ever seen something like this? A two-time MVP, a former MVP. LeBron did them so bad, made them break up their team.
Who's going to win this game? I don't care about that. That's ancient history. This game, this Christmas. Give me an early Christmas present.
You're not even committed to that.
You're not. You're not.
LeBron James, they're going to win this game by 6 points.
By 6
Yep.
points?
That close?
115 to 109.
I got to write this down. 115 to 109. I got it.
Good guys.
So the guy that you dissed the other day, this guy named Klay Thompson, he can't really shoot a lick. You said LeBron's even a better three-point shooter now.
He
than
is
Klay
this year.
Thompson. Yeah.
He is this year.
He is this week, but it won't last very long. I'm going to warn you about what's going to happen
you
to your
actually say
man
that?
LeBron James. Yes, he
Out
did.
loud,
He said
too.
that.
Oh,
He said
wow.
it out loud.
To everybody?
If
Oh,
you have
wow.
carefully followed LeBron's career, he will have the rare hot streak from three, which will lead to him shooting more and more threes. And all of a sudden, he will hit his typical cold streak, and he will shoot his team out of games from the three-point line because he'll have one of those 2 for 13 from three kind of games.
He's not shooting that many
Well,
threes.
you just
Skip.
watch. He's got 3 in his mind right now.
Can we get a case of news? Can we get a case of
Yes, we already got one. I wanted to make sure that you were still good with it.
Yeah.
Because Draymond is not going to be suspended. I was fearful that he was going to miss this game because he had his kid, but yet what was it on Snapchat last night?
He's
said
going to play.
wheels up. He's in I think it was a private plane, and he's back in the saddle.
And Kevin Love
here
is
he comes.
cooking.
Really?
Tell me you don't like what Kevin Love is doing right now,
He's
Kate.
playing well.
I thought
He's
he had an
playing well.
injury.
Yeah,
Didn't
no,
he kind of beat up? Didn't he kind of?
Oh, you hoping?
Yeah, he's
I
going to
know.
play. He's going to play.
Yeah,
I
he's gonna
just
play?
no.
Yeah.
And like to your point, I don't think LeBron gonna shoot 13 threes.
Okay, well that's fine, but he'll jack it up. He'll shoot 8 or 9 and go 1 for 8 or 9. He does it routinely. You know it, and I know it.
I bet Uncle Drew gives Steph Curry the business.
Help me out here, Mr. History.
Yes, Lord.
What happened just 1 year ago on Christmas? When it last year at Christmas when they went to Cleveland? What happened?
No, that was they played in Golden State last year.
Golden
They won by like 4 points. They blew them out in January. They blew them out in January in Cleveland. They
Wait,
blew them
what
out
was the score? 132 to 98? Really? That was at Cleveland.
and gave them a false sense.
132? Oh, false sense of security.
You know-
so they got up 3-1. They
Okay.
still had a false sense of security.
Bron said, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna let you bums get up 3-1, and I'm gonna walk you down."
Shannon, did it not go to a game 7
like
down
the
to the
playoffs
last
is a
minute?
different story. Like playoffs is
Talk to
like,
Skip and Joy.
It's a different story. Like I was on my honeymoon actually last year, and I'm sitting there watching Game 6. I'm like, yo, I tell my wife like, hey, if Cleveland mess around and win Game 6, they gonna win Game 7. I'm telling you this, listen, because he wasn't gonna lose. Like LeBron wasn't gonna lose, but
That's the he talking about.
but I'm picking the Golden State in this game. But in the playoffs, it's a different story. He's a different monster. LeBron's a different monster in the
He's a monster
playoffs.
because he had a super highway to the basket because Bogut was hurt and they had no rim protection left. So he can just freight train to the basket.
They had Festus Ezeli.
Huh?
They had Festus.
Yeah, well. He's Vanderbilt. You said Vanderbilt athletes, they can't play anything, right? That's what you told me?
Nobody told Draymond Green to be Grayson Allen and reincarnate and start kicking people all in the head and triple them.
Oh, so you're finally admitting that had an effect on it.
I'm saying he kicked the man.
He did, and he called him a word that I cannot say on television. It was the most demeaning word you could call a superstar like LeBron James.
And-
who would dare to call LeBron James that word?
Bron said, "Don't worry about
Joakim Noah.
Oh, there you go.
and every time he play a Joe Kim team, what he do? Give it to him.
He
Oh,
destroy
does he?
him.
Every time
it's
he play the
personal.
Golden State, he gonna give it to
He's
him.
going to give it to him?
Give it to him.
Do we have a
gonna be a
whole
good
case of Diet Mountain Dew on this?
Yes!
Because I have never felt so secure in winning a bet against you than I have with this one. The Warriors are clicking way ahead of schedule. Kevin Durant has just blended right into shot, share the ball.
Irving, a.k.a.
You better hope so.
Uncle Drew.
You better hope so.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah. It's going to be
Better
a
have Steph
shootout.
Curry.
Yeah.
Better have on them chef. Hope he don't wear them chef twos, cause it gonna get real ugly
Okay.
with them orthopedics. They got them Arthur Murray's. Them,
my God.
them Arthur Murray, my three
You
sons.
guys watching this?
Them
They
Arthur
watch.
Murray's,
They
my
watch.
three sons.
You guys
All
watching
right, so
this?
there's a case to do on it tonight. You want any of this action, or you're just gonna ride
All right,
it
I'm
out?
gonna stay out of there.
This week's excerpts were released from George Karl's new book, Furious George, in which Karl is highly critical of Carmelo Anthony, Kenyon Martin, and others. Karl wrote, quote, Kenyon and Carmelo carried two big burdens, all that money and no father to show them how to act like a man. Yesterday, Kenyon tweeted, I didn't have a father growing up. We all know that. What's George Karl's excuse for being a terrible person? Former NBA All-Star Kenyon Martin is still with us.
Yes,
Were you
sir.
surprised when you saw what George Karl wrote about you?
Absolutely. I've been home minding my business. I've been enjoying retirement, so I haven't thought about George. I haven't thought about anything relating to Denver. So very much surprised.
And how did they hit you when you first saw them on your phone, right?
Yeah, I was I'm getting ready to take my baby to Disneyland for her second birthday. I'm at the gas pump. I get a text message of what George was saying, a little snippet from his book. And they caught me off guard. Caught me off guard. Last thing I expected to see first thing in the morning, but here we are.
Did you tweet immediately, or you gave yourself a little time to gather yourself?
Had an hour and a half drive to go down to Disney, so had time to gather my thoughts because it just can't fly off the handle. People call it a rant, but it was well thought out. You know, I'm not an English teacher. A few grammar errors, no commas, parentheses, whatever you want to call it. I don't care, but yeah, I had time to gather my thoughts, man. And
so, what did you think your relationship was with George Karl when you played for him?
There wasn't one. It was player coach. It was player coach. That's all it was. There was no relationship outside of basketball. He didn't try to build one, and I didn't try to pursue one.
Was he difficult to play for or to deal with?
George is not a people person. George used to walk through the locker room and not speak to anyone. No players sitting in the locker room. We all at our lockers, and I don't know no coach that would do that. You know, we all in this together. You know, so you come through and not speak to anyone, that's just it's egotistical. That's arrogant. You know, I don't know nobody walk in a room and not acknowledge anyone.
Right.
You know, who does that?
When you say it's hard to find a coach that's been in the business as long as George Karl has, and there has not been any players come to his defense. What do you think that says about him?
The proof is in the pudding. The proof is there. It's how you treat people and how you deal with people and how people perceive you. You know, like I said, he's been in the NBA for a long time. He has a lot of wins. He's been blessed to have great talent.
Right.
But it doesn't make you a good person or a good coach.
And that's what's so puzzling to me, guys, is that because he coached for so long, because he's accumulated so many wins, how can you be so successful? Because at the end of the day, coaching is about building relationships. How could he be so successful with the type of relationships that he seems to have had with his players?
I have no idea. He must interview well. He knows he knows X's and O's. I'm not taking the fact that he knows basketball.
Right.
Like he knows the game of basketball on one end. He knows offensive basketball. He's a good X's and O's guy when it comes to that part. But the total game of basketball, you have to cover all aspects of the game to be a good coach, in my opinion.
Right.
That's defense, that's special situations, that's time, score, all of that, out of bounds plays, you have to cover all that. And we never did that. You know, I don't know if it just started when we got to Denver or beforehand. That was the basketball part of it.
Right.
But then how you treat people is something totally different.
Right.
You know, you name your dog Rookie because you don't like rookies. You treat rookies a certain way. Except if you went to Carolina. You know, so it's things like that.
Because George played in Carolina.
Yeah, and then he thinks Dean Smith belongs on Mount Rushmore. You know what I'm saying? He's a great coach. I'm not taking nothing for Dean Smith, but when you're in the NBA, we don't want to keep hearing about what Dean Smith did.
So did any players ever confront him, ever challenge him on some of the things that he was doing?
Besides myself? Yeah, he had his run-ins with players over the years. Guys did dislike the way things were being done on the court, you know. But a lot of guys wouldn't say it to him or to anyone. But I'm not that person.
Right.
You know, if there's a problem in the locker room, if there's a problem on the court, I'm the one to voice it.
Right.
You know, because I can't sit back and watch something not right. And me not speak up. And maybe that was some fault in me because I'm always looking out for other guys.
Right.
So sometimes it come across as, oh, here Kenyon go again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's just who I am. Like if they mistreating you, I'm gonna speak up for you. Not only myself, I'm gonna speak up for everyone in the room.
Right.
You know, so sometimes they came across as me being hot-headed or me not being coachable, whatever. It was none of that. You know, I never had any issues about coaching anything until George came. You know, you ask anybody I played for beforehand, very coachable, very likable, knows the game well. You know, all this stuff comes about when he comes.
Right.
You know, none of this stuff surfaced before George came.
I just had a problem with what he said about the lack of fathers not being in your life because that's lazy. That's very stereotypical because there are a lot of people that are not successful that didn't have fathers. There are a lot of people that's successful that had fathers. And for him to say that's the reason, and you don't know. And so I just thought it was really lazy and stereotypical of him.
It was.
And that's the problem. But I don't know George Karl. I was in Denver when he was coaching some, but I don't know him.
Yeah.
But I thought that was wrong for him to say what he said.
And for me, it's like I said, it's very personal because, in my opinion, well, not in my opinion, it's what it is. Like you taking a shot at my mom.
Right.
Like you taking a shot at the way she raised me.
Correct.
And other single mothers out there, you taking a shot at them. Not only me and Melo,
Right.
but other single mothers I turned out well. My mother was my mother and my father. You know, so for you to say that, like you disrespecting her. So I'm here to stand up for her.
Right.
You know, it ain't like, I'm gonna be fine, but you don't say that I was fathered and that's why I act like this and making this money and AAU babies. Like, no, I know, I'm none of that. I'm a grown man and I address situations as they are. So I'm here to defend my mother in that aspect.
And you should have been commended because you weren't in a two-parent household. Yeah. For you to go off to college, become very, very successful. There are a lot of athletes that don't have two-parent homes that go off and be successful. And I want to preface this. I don't want to insinuate that the only way you can be successful if you don't have a father or a mother in your life is to be through sports. Yes. But it doesn't matter what you become as long as you become successful. You can be a doctor, a lawyer, as long as you have gainful employment. And you come from where you came from because you're telling the story where you came from, Dallas, and you're telling, like, man, I had to get out of Dallas because I know me, I know my friends, I just needed to move away from that. He was telling me off camera, Skip, that 2 weeks after graduating high school, he was in Cincinnati. Yeah. So for him to understand where he wanted to be and to where he was and where he needed to get, you should be commended for that. Guys should be commended from coming out of their environment, although they don't have two-parent households. Not looked down upon.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with it 1,000%. And that's like, they're just taking shots, man, at people. And like I said before, I haven't thought about George Karl. George Karl is not a part of my everyday life. Right. You know, I have children to raise. I have responsibilities going on that don't require the NBA or George Karl. Right. You know, but for him to go out and attack Melo in the way he did and myself and JR. So you tell me what it is. He spoke on me and Melo not having fathers growing up. In the same breath, you go say JR's fathers, they're too much. Which one is it? Yeah. Do you want us to have a father? Do you not want us to? Like, which one is it? Right. Like, so you can't, I don't get it. You know?
I do get George. I know George. I agree with you. He does know basketball on that one end. Didn't really care about the other end because there's no glamour on the defensive end. George is as big a diva as anybody who was in your locker room or anybody else's locker room. To me, George wanted to be the star of the show. He ultimately wanted the media to see him as the reason that you made it to the conference final or wherever you got. And that's just George, and that was his downfall in your league because the reason Popovich is so successful is he just takes a complete backseat. In fact, he shuns the interviews, you know, like he makes it a thing where leave me alone, get out of my face with that. And the players appreciate that because they know he wants them to have the glory in the end. He doesn't really care about the glory. He's going to get it anyway. George would have gotten it if he'd won a championship. Right. And he did get to one final, as you know, Seattle, and they lost to Jordan. No shame in that. But George can coach a little bit, you know, in his own way. But to me, his downfall was his own ego. It's why he would walk to your locker room. You guys are just, you're cogs in my system here.
Yeah,
you know, like,
basically. And it's like, it was like if we won, it was because of him. Yeah. And if we lost, it was because of us. That's right. Like really? Like we're in this together. like we all win together and we lose together. Like, and that's the way it felt at times. You know, just being there, being around him. And I played, like I'm saying, when Melo left and got traded to New York, I was still there. You know, so
you had to deal with all that by yourself.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, and like our relationship at that point, it was strained. Like there was no coming back from it. We had our words and our things over the years, but one thing I did every day, every time I put that uniform on, I showed up and I played. Nobody could question that. You know, I had 2 microfracture surgeries playing in Denver. Had my patella repaired playing in Denver. I didn't do that sitting at home. Right. I did that playing basketball for the Denver Nuggets. Right. You know, so for him to go out and have this to say, like now, like just to sell a book, like you said, he's in it for the attention. You know, and that's obvious.
Did you ever try to sit with him and work it out face to face? Or was that just not allowed?
No, there were things going on like just early on. Like he would use me because he knew I could take it, use me as a scapegoat. He wanted to speak to other guys in the locker room and he knew he couldn't. So he was Kenyon, you need to do this, you need to do that in order to talk to other guys. So I accepted it up to a certain point. And then something happened one day, and I went in his office and told him, I'm done being your scapegoat, this, that, and the third. So then we played in the Clippers in the playoffs. We had a little altercation or whatnot in the locker room. I was suspended. So after that, me and him sat down and had a conversation. I didn't apologize for what I said. Maybe the timing of it was bad, but I meant everything I said. And I told him, listen, you coach your team. I show up and I do my job. You don't say nothing to me out of line. I don't say nothing to you, and we can
Coexist like that.
And that's what it was. You know,
And he responded with what?
there was nothing to respond with. He accepted it, and we moved on. You know, because I didn't want to be there after the thing with the Clippers, but I didn't have a choice. I was in the contract. So I'm going to show up, I'm going to do my job. You know, so I showed up in training camp ready to go.
By the way, did you communicate with Melo at all about what George wrote about him?
No. I saw Melo's interview, but Melo's still playing. So Melo has to be politically correct right now. He can't do what I'm doing right now. So, and I understand it. And I understand JR's position. I'm not playing anymore. You're not finna attack me, my family, and no, I'm not gonna sit back and accept it from somebody like George. Not at all.
Yeah, and you have every right to defend yourself. So I'm glad you're doing it here on Undisputed.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you,
me.
bro. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, take that hat off.
Hey, this,
No, leave it on, leave it on.
It's a good look, man. Hey,
I like the gold in the
hey,
scarf.
I want to thank Eli Manning, man. You did
there
a
we
great
go.
job
Thank you,
last
Eli.
night, man.
You hear this,
You
Eli?
did a great job last night, Eli.
That's
what I like
great.
to hear.
You know what?
Skip, you called him
Endearing
Victoria
yourself
Secret.
with
Hey,
Skip.
listen,
I put him up to this.
Yo, hey, man. Got him a cowboy blue today. Hey,
Exactly.
Hey, come see us. We're in Arlington, baby.
No mercy. The Giants had a chance to clinch a playoff berth last night, but instead, Eli Manning threw 3 interceptions, including a first quarter pick 6, and the Giants lost in Philadelphia 24-19. Michael Lombardi joins us now. Welcome, Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. You picked the Giants to lose this game.
Yeah,
So did
good call.
they did they get exposed last night?
I think this is who the Giants are, in spite of the great counselor to my left. Proclamation that they could go on the road and win 3 road games. I think we saw a Giant defense that's really good. They gave up 100 yards in the second half, but we saw a Giant offense that has problems when they play on the road. The quarterback gets hit too much. The quarterback's very inconsistent. For as much as Odell Beckham is a great player, wide receivers, as far as my NFL career, has never been able to carry a team. It takes more than just a great wide receiver. And I think the Giants showed last night that if they're going to win 3 road games and get to the Super Bowl, which everybody seems to think that's what they're going to do because they did it in 07, did it in 11, I just think this is unrealistic. And I thought last night was another example. And really, I thought Doug Peterson did a wonderful job of keeping them in the game. I thought he did a good job of keeping them
Oh,
in
you
the
talking
game.
about throwing the ball out to the sidelines and the guy getting out of bounds?
Well, look,
Throwing it on fourth and third down?
here's what fascinates me about the NFL. Carson Wentz is a below 50% passer on any throw over 10 yards. Think about that. 50% passer on any throw over 10 yards. He's only completed 3 passes over 30 yards in his NFL career. 3. And he tries on third and short, when he could take away the timeout, to throw a pass down the field, which is completely against it. Then on the short yardage play, which was to me was remarkable. I mean, all he's got to do is spread the formation. Matthews almost got in on the play before, right? I know Chase Daniel was in the game, but and he tries to become macho man and run a lead play into the heart of the Giants defense. To me, I think the Eagles did everything to keep him in the game, and the Giants still couldn't win. So I think was a perfect example, and you representing the Giants have to defend that. I don't know how you can.
I don't think they got exposed. The Giants are who we thought they were. I said they have a fantastic defense, and when you play the way they play offensively, 1 to 2 plays, your margin of error is very small. We played like that in 2000, Skip. In 4 playoff games, we had 2 turnovers. Now, our defense only gave up 1 touchdown. Now, that kick return for the Giants was a kick return. They didn't score any points on that defense. So that's the thing. You can't give up 6 points on your possessions. Your defense can't defend that. You can't give up scooping scores. You can't leave them on a short field because now all they got to do is kick a field goal, and that's 3 points. You're already challenged scoring the football. So now if you give up 10 points, when you have the ball, you only score 19. But you just gave the other team 10. Well, the defense only gives up 15. So now you let them have 25 points. You can't get to that. The Giants are who we thought they were. I thought, because I'm trying to wrap my mind around how can Eli, the guy that's won 2 Super Bowls and he was the MVP in both games, Michael, how can he continuously still make the mistakes that you would expect a Carson Wentz or a young quarterback to make? He's throwing the ball, they play in cover 2, and he doesn't have the arm strength to get it up and down anymore.
Which is another reason that you have to go on the road and you have to play in cold weather in Green Bay. If you have to go to Dallas now, it'll be closed. But see, I think the other thing that's missing is this is not the 2000 Raven defense in Philadelphia.
No.
There's ways to exploit. I know they didn't have Janoris Jenkins last night, but they're not exactly like they're just going to shut you down completely. Right. So to think they're going to beat a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, beat Dak Prescott, who's an outstanding quarterback, and then go and beat Russell Wilson in a conference championship game, if that's the way it were to line up, I think it's really difficult. I said it yesterday before the game, and I said it afterwards.
So here's my take. If sitting at this desk yesterday, you had assured me the Giants would wind up with 470 total yards to Philly's 286, and that Carson Wentz would go 13 of 24 for 152 with a pick, and that the Giants would run 88 plays to only 55 for the Eagles, and the time of possession would be 34 minutes for the Giants, who have been awful all year in time of possession, to only 26 for the Eagles, and that Eli would convert 10 of 22 third downs when they have been 31st in the league coming into this game in third down conversions, I would have said Giants win by 3 touchdowns off those numbers.
No, okay, but then I was going to ask you, okay, Skip, what did Eli do?
Okay, there you go. So he throws 3 picks, and what gets hidden in these stats is the 10 of 22 third down conversions. When it was time to make the third down conversion in the red zone, he came up short 4 times.
4-point plays.
It cost them 4, 4, and 4, right?
Right, the 4-point plays. The third down in the red zone are 4-point plays, and Eli can't convert them, and so they have to kick field goals. They're 1 for 5 in the red zone, which is what they've been. They have the greatest wide receiver in the history of wide receivers, according to Nick Wright. I mean, there's never been a greater receiver in the history of receivers. All due respect to Jerry Rice, but and they can't get the ball in the end zone. And I think what Jim Schwartz did yesterday was really true. He played cover 2. He jammed the receivers. He had 20 targets, Odell Beckham. He averaged 13 yards a catch. All right. And when it came, they didn't make a big explosive play down the field. No. They're saying to the Giants, run the ball against cover 2. Run it.
When a team would play us cover 2, I would turn around and say, tell TD, Terrell Davis, our running back, man, run them up out of cover 2. Make them drop that safety down.
I got it.
Never ran them out of cover 2.
They
encouraged them to run. They wanted them to run the ball.
When a team says, we're going to play you cover 2, they say, we don't believe you can beat our front 7.
Yep.
We just going to sit back here and play coverage and see what you can do with it. You better be able to run a team up out of cover 2. Because first of all, look at Ty. Ty's your tight end. Can you believe Eli Manning was throwing the ball to him? And think about it, on a 4th down play, the ball's hanging up in the air, and Ty's like this is like it's going to come.
Well, they run 5 plays, and I know they run 5 basic plays. I know he's got the cheesecake.
I knew we were going to get a cheesecake factory.
But I mean, he's got it. They run 5 plays. They run 5 plays.
You get overwhelmed when you get to the Cheesecake Factory?
No, they run 5 plays. I don't know what he needs that sheet for. I have no idea what he needs the sheet
to cover his mouth.
Well,
I have no idea.
Well, 4 of his plays is Odell. You run the over out. Odell run the square out. Odell run the comeback.
Everybody
Odell run
knows
the slant.
he runs 5 plays. It's at 3rd and 3, they're going to run hitches on the outside. I mean, everybody knows what they're going to do, right? I don't understand it. It just blows my mind.
Now, Eli Manning has thrown 16 interceptions, which is 2nd worst in the NFL, tied with Blake Bortles and Brock Osweiler.
And this man yesterday said he's going to turn it around. He's expecting him to turn around like Superman in a phone booth.
That is correct. But by Eli's standards, his legacy,
that's low.
His reputation.
That's a low.
Well, that is true because he's led the league in interceptions 3 times.
Yeah.
So what we get down to is because of his name and because of those 2 tarnished Super Bowls.
They're not tarnished,
Both
Skip.
of them are tarnished. But because he does have 2 rings, he gets away with near murder as this quarterback.
Yeah.
They don't have
no doubt.
There's no other quarterback there. There's no backup quarterback to speak. People can't even name Ryan Nassib.
If you're he's on IR. They're going to go to Josh Johnson. If Eli hurts his hand, their chances are over with, okay? Here's the thing that's amazing. If you're a Giant executive and you're watching this performance, you're saying to yourself, you're a quarterback away from competing with the Cowboys where they are because Eli's trending downward. Where are we going to trend upward? And you keep waiting for him to turn it around like Superman in a phone booth. It ain't happening.
But I didn't like what I saw because I saw the ball coming out his hand last night.
It wasn't pretty.
And it was a lot of wobble. Now, he never threw the tight of spirals.
Yep.
But Skip, There's a lot of wobble to those balls.
They
man.
didn't sack him last night, but they hit him,
Yes.
and they made him nervous in that pocket.
Does any quarterback throw with more entitlement than Eli Manning,
No.
where he can just get away with anything? I'm just going. I'll try that because I'm Eli and I know I'm not going to get replaced, right?
Or he tries to fit the ball into places it has no business going into, and
Yeah,
he gets
he
away with it.
he doesn't have up and down arm strength. There are a few guys that have up and down in cover
But
two.
they put the burden of the offense on his
They do.
shoulders,
They
and I
do.
think that's a mistake. I think they need to be more balanced in what they do, get into more two backs, diversify their offense. They can't just run five plays.
They need to get a running back. They need to get a
Well, by
Perkins
the
is a
way,
good
we
back.
didn't even mention he threw a career high 63 passes
Right.
last night.
Like, how do you go into Philly and throw it 63 times? Like, I know he got behind 14-0, but you don't have to throw it 63
because they can't run it.
And
They should have threw it
wait
80
a second.
times.
They did have 114 yards rushing, which by their standards is
It's
pretty
tremendous
good.
day.
I mean, it's,
They're your team. You
It
defend them
sounds
good.
like they
They're
need
all
a
in
big
your-
play, Shay.
They
well,
do.
they got big. No, they got Odell. Odell is a
But I
better
think
big
you hit
play.
the nail on the head. Teams are saying to the Giants, we're not going to
Let-
give you a slant and go for 69
Nope.
yards like the Cowboys
Church
did.
did.
We're not going to let you go down the field. You keep seeing if you can convert those third downs and see if you can win. And let's see how that plays on the road. Let's see how that plays in crowd noise. Let's see how it did last night. And really, Philly wasn't that loud last
I
night.
think you were about to say that Odell was better than big play.
Yeah. Because big play at that time was year 12, Odell in year 3. And they're saying Victor Cruz, Sterling Shepard,
That's such
you
good
can't beat us.
perspective by you, Shannon.
I'm a realist. I'm a realist.
You could have fooled me.
I must skip up like 3-4 days out the week.
Thanks for joining us, Michael.
I mean, yesterday he was all
I
Giants.
know. We have a great Christmas, Michael.
I'm
Thanks for
still
joining
with
us.
him.
No mercy.
This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everybody. That's all for us today. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We wish you all a great and safe holiday weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We'll see you all then. Happy holidays.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.